only been in my career for a couple of years, so I'm not going to really talk too much about a career path because I only have one job so far. But I'm from Winterport, Maine. I went to high school at Hamden Academy, where I did a lot of science stuff that I enjoyed a lot. Had some really good teachers, and I was lucky enough to participate in a merits internship. I don't know if any of you have heard of that. It's Maine research internships for teachers and students, and that's kind of what kicked off my interest in science and engineering. I actually did some forestry research at the University of Maine as part of that, and kind of ended up going in a completely different direction, but that's definitely what got me interested in UMaine. So I went on to UMaine and I studied chemical engineering, just based on my interest in chemistry and stuff in high school, and really enjoyed that. And I was part of the Pulp and Paper Foundation there. Good job. It's almost like they need a plier or something to get it in there.
We can do it. It's just a matter of...
Oh yeah, there you go. Haha. What was I saying? And I did an internship while I was at UMaine with Sappy Fine Paper in Westbrook, and I enjoyed the paper industry because it kind of has a small business feel. It's sort of community oriented. I'm sure, you know, most of you are probably familiar with mill towns, how that is. The community relies really heavily on the mills. They employ a lot of people, so there's a strong partnership there, so that's where I ended up going. I work for NewPage in Rumford now, and I'm a technical engineer there. Currently working on getting my Green Belt Lean Six Sigma certification. And I work on mostly process improvement projects, reducing material usage, reducing waste, making things cost less for us and more value added for our customer. I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. Is that a fairly good intro?
Yeah, that's really good. What's a typical day look like in your job?
A typical day looks like it's never the same from day to day, which is one of the reasons that I really like my job. You know, some days I'm at my desk working on projects, you know, doing statistics or working in Excel with figures or making presentations that I'm going to present to our mill leadership, that sort of thing, writing reports, the more nitty-gritty kind of things. So, you know, some days that's all I do. And then some days I'm on my feet all day long. I'm out in the field working with the operators, you know, looking at the equipment, checking things out, taking samples, doing tests. Some days I'm in the lab all day doing lab work. So I think that's one of the best things about my job, is that it's not the same. And depending on how I'm feeling, I have a little flexibility. I can go just, you know, be out in the field and not have to focus and really, you know, get down to the nitty-gritty work. So that's really cool. I like that a lot.
You gave some indications of what brought you into this. I didn't hear. Did any guidance people or older siblings or parents have a role in that?
A little bit. My mom, she works as a lab tech at Eastern Maine Medical Center, so I had a little bit of knowledge of, you know, engineering, science, and that sort of thing. And I just, my parents' personalities, you know, we're always, you know, we're kind of building things, we're doing projects around the house, that sort of stuff, sort of the Yankee engineering mentality, really. And my grandfather, he worked at the University of Maine as an agricultural engineering tech, like helping graduate students with their projects, like building the equipment for their projects. So I sort of had that underlying background, but honestly, the guidance counselors and teachers at my school had very little information for students. Which is
very common story.
Which is a real bummer, but it does take some work to dig that stuff up. And I was really lucky that one of my teachers mentioned this internship program to me, and that was what sealed the deal. It's things like that that seal the deal. And obviously, I had teachers that were, you know, doing neat demonstrations and stuff with chemistry in class, and I really liked that. Like I got a group of students together, and we come after school to do projects and prepare demonstrations to do for the class, and that was kind of a piece of it. But I think there was a lack of understanding.
Part of that it brought you to real life.
Yeah.
That maybe some teachers didn't really explain.
Right.
Tell you got to learn it, but not why you're going.
Exactly.
When you're going to use it.
Right. Like, I had one chemistry teacher that would do really fun demonstrations. They were really flashy, but here is what the real life, scenario is. For example, we had this cool, galvanizing setup. It was like 2 pieces of metal, hooked up to a battery, and you could actually see the material depositing on this piece of metal. It's like, oh my God, this works. It's like real science, and it works. And that's why, galvanized metal doesn't rust. Imagine that. Like, things like that really opened my eyes to, whoa, this is important. It's not just A, B, or C, you know what I mean? So that's key. And it makes it funner, too.
Did your middle school do much on career development?
Not at all. Not at all. And I actually, really hated science class in middle school. I hated it.
Was it all book work?
Yeah, it was a lot of book work. Yeah, it was
kid.
terrible. It was terrible, and I just didn't understand it. Like, I remember specifically doing a lab in, 7th grade. Something to do with magnetism, and, we had iron filings and all this stuff, but I just didn't get it. It was, just a little too complicated for our group, and it's like, whatever, I don't care about this. So, I don't know. It's like we're focused on these standardized tests and all this and that. But meanwhile, well, I'm preaching to the choir, right?
Yeah.
And everything else goes by the
I
wayside.
feel fortunate to have the very, very supportive administrator. This is inquiry-based program. It's field testing right now. Can I try it? Are you okay with that? And we just totally did this really neat thing. They're actually on the 2nd floor right now. The Power Sleuth program, Energy for Maine, and the kids got into it big time. They learned. They were able to construct things. They built their own water wheels,
Cool.
competitions.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was just real stuff.
Kids are overstimulated these days. In the past 5 years, cell phones and all this stuff. I do that to some extent. But I ride horses, and some of the girls that I ride with are 12 to 15 age range. They don't put their cell phones down. They don't put them down. And it's all on the internet, the Facebook and MySpace and all this stuff, and they're just bombarded with all of that electronic media all the time, and it really kind of dumbs down some of the more important stuff, you know what I mean? Oh, this isn't cool enough.
It's scary. I know that I graduated from the University of Maine as well in 2000, and going back a couple of years later when my brother was there, just seeing the kids on campus, everybody was on cell phones, and it was like, I didn't even have a cell phone.
Yeah.
It was just such a big change so fast.
Stuff does change.
But it also kind of points out to us how we have to change as well to meet their needs and their interests.
Yeah.
To keep them in.
And Education Development Center. So what do you do? You're a teacher, obviously, at a middle school.
I teach teachers. I actually do a lot of curriculum development and professional development projects, integrating technology and mathematics.
Neat.
A lot of that kind of work. And I do some policy work, applying research to policy decision making.
And you're a volunteer, I'm guessing, with your little camera.
Yep.
That's good innovation right there. And what about you?
Policy. Since the early 70s, I've been on a local, regional, state, national Board of Education, a workforce board, apprenticeship, Jobs for Maine's graduates, the North Star Alliance, whatever's been there. Yeah. I'm actually vice chair of a national association right now. Spent Monday and Tuesday in D.C. working the Hill. Waved at Obama when his car went by. But one of the things you did mention is mill towns are mill towns. Now, should that mill leave, your chances of working in your field are rather slim. What do you see that? Would you relocate? Or maybe entrepreneur?
Well, I'm not from a mill town, so...
Well, I thought you said you was with PayPal.
No, well, I live in a mill town now. I just moved there a couple of years ago. I moved to go to the company, but...
What would you do if that company moved?
I would try to stay in Maine, but I'd definitely be flexible.
You'd have to relocate.
Yeah, and what's good is in an engineering field, your skills are so translational. I mean, I think I could feel comfortable going into some sort of, accounting job, if, with a little bit of training. I got the strong math background or management. I have, project management skills. Managing people isn't a whole lot different. I have good soft skills from working with the operators and stuff at our facility. So I think, like the speaker at lunch said, these engineering degrees are so flexible. I don't remember where this statistic came from or who was talking about this, but it was like some insane percentage of CEOs in American companies were engineers. Like, it was just dumbfounding what the percentage was. I can't remember specifically what it was, but